Hey Joe everybody, welcome back to another guide brought by your friend Lestion. This time we will be looking at the brand new unit Naomi. So get comfortable, grab some popcorn and enjoy the guide for this mercenary. As you may have already noticed, Naomi is a ranged syndicate unit with a high base attack but really low HP, better known as a glass cannon unit. At max R7 we can see she has 859 attack and 584 health points. With neural links and max relationship stats, she can reach a bit more than 1000 base attack, placing her inside of the group of the highest attack units in game. She is by excellence one of the best units to clear the field, before your units even attack. Yes, as you may already figure it out, she is the perfect counter against River, and also will punish any player that likes to play with low HP summoned units like Beck Minions, Agnes Android Kickboxers, Kira Partisans, and even Mitsuki, and many others. With her abilities, she can reach a decent amount of HP on summon if conditions met, but we will talk about it in a bit. Let's start with the abilities. Ability 1. On spawn, uses Help Siphon to steal HP from all enemies in line. This is the core ability of Naomi. You will need to carefully place her in order to summon the most amount of copies of her in one turn and to steal a decent amount of health to make Naomi's survivability raise by a lot. As we already know, Health Siphon passes through shields without breaking them, and resistance, which is very helpful to deal against units like Lola, Kitty, River Drones, and Mitsuki with ultimate activated. Also, since this ability works on spawn, will still trigger even if the suppression ability from Inferna is on. But of course she will not summon the clone even if she kills an enemy unit with it. This skill is the only one that scales with Naomi's level. Because of that, you always need to aim for the best amount of damage you can do with it before reborn her to the next level. First of all, Naomi really starts to be a real threat when she reaches Reborn 4, level 31, so to help you a bit with this, I will give you some tips. At R4 level 31 you will do 426 Health Siphon damage. At Reborn 5 level 31 you will do 543 Health Siphon damage. At this point, since the difference is so minimum, you can reborn her as we are used to. If you have enough copies to level up her up to level 26 of Reborn 5, you are good to do it. Next, at Reborn 6 level 21, you will do 564 Help Siphon damage. This means, as usual, if you have enough to level Naomi up to this level, will be almost the same as Reborn 5 max level. Now the good news. At level 31 you will do 693 Health Siphon damage. But now, you really don't have to weigh anything at all to reborn her. Why? Because at this level the base stats and the Health Siphon damage will be almost the same as R7 level 1. Yes, level 1. Since you will do 642 Health Siphon damage with a really low difference of 65 attack and 34 health from a max R6 Naomi level 31. How crazy is that? But well, continuing with the second ability, on kill except models, deploys her own copy to a random cell in her row. This skill makes Naomi a bit more difficult to trigger than Mitsuki's ability clones. It's worth to say that this skill will only trigger when Naomi eliminates an enemy mercenary by herself, can be through a normal attack or by her health siphon damage. But this doesn't mean it's weaker than Mitsuki. As a matter of fact, if you are careful in where you summon the first Naomi, you will have 4 really strong Naomi on your field.
Also, you have to apply the same principle that you had with river drones. Try to always have an open row for her and her copies to be spawned.
This is why you always need to have your first ability the strongest as possible, because if you manage to kill an enemy in at least 3 lanes where your Naomi copies are summoned with only the health siphon damage, you will still be able to summon 4 of them and attack with all of them with all the buffs on the same turn with a clear enemy field in the best case scenario, even if the copies are not summoned in correlative order, contrary to Mitsuki. Then when your first copy is summoned on the last spot to the right, you will only attack 2 times and have only 3 copies on your field. Of course, this requires some luck in some cases and a clear understanding when to summon her. But when you get used to it, you will destroy your opponent. Also, same as Mitsuki, this is a permanent ability. So meanwhile, you keep one of the Naomis alive, she will be summoning copies for days.
It's also worth saying that if you manage to decimate 2 or 3 units in the same line with your Naomi's health siphon damage, you will summon the same amount of copies as enemies kill with it.
Ability 3 is a passive, Agility. This will help a lot with the survivability of Naomi by a lot, and will be useful to block the lane from melee enemies in order to buy time to finish them on the following turns, if their health is too high. At this point she really feels like a real ninja, doesn't she? But we still have one more extra ability. Yes, the ultimate. Ally Health Siphon is triggered, grants attack to all allies except for peacekeepers, equal to 10% of her health. Now, this ultimate is a perfect example of a power spike, and will make Naomi a real monster. Naomi can buff herself her HP with her Health Siphon, and each copy will have even more HP. Since Health Siphon doesn't trigger River Drone's abilities, she will have a clear path to trigger this skill. And yes, this ability triggers from every of your Naomi copies for each Health Siphon triggered. This means that not only your Naomis will become a strong high attack units in no time, but also your allies that are not peacekeepers will. So if you're going to play with Naomi, make sure you aim to unlock her outfit as soon as possible. Now, the part that you were all waiting for, combos. Kryza will be the best commander to play with Naomi, because she will provide a lot of free Health Siphon to trigger her ultimate, besides of adding extra damage to ensure you really finish off some stronger units than your base Health Siphon damage. you add Animeria to the mix, you will have all you need to easily clear the enemy field and get a lot of extra attack thanks to Naomi's ultimate. Besides, Nimeria will also get extra attack when Naomi first skill triggers. Then we have Ivy. With her recent rebalance, she will make a perfect match with Naomi, Nimeria, and Krysa. She will not only do damage for every poison triggered, but will give your allies a lot of extra HP. And thanks to this, Naomi will give your allies a bigger amount of attack. What a combo, right? You can also add a Wendy with ultimate to the current combo to deal against heavy tank units, to reduce their health by half, to have more chances to get rid of them with Naomi's health siphon damage. But it's not really needed to have her. If you want to add some extra damage to your comp, you can also try Amy. Weird, right? After her rebalance, she works like Bea, with the only difference that the trigger will be Health Siphon. And since you will be triggering it a lot, you will melt down your opponent's commander HP in no time. And not only that, but she will also provide extra health siphon to your allies. Her third skill also gives some extra attack to your health siphon allies, but it's not really a big deal. Mitsuki combined with Krysa first skill passive will also be very good to trigger Naomi's ultimate skill and will be a great wall to defend your Naomi's. And also basically copies for days that will be getting extra attack from Naomi's ultimate. And yeah, again, Nicole will also synergizes with Naomi for obvious reasons pretty damn well. Sumi also has a strong synergy with Naomi. Since her rebalance, Sumi get a really strong buff that will excel with Naomi. She will not only get extra attack for each Naomi copy, but will get an extra multi-attack every time a new Naomi copy is summoned. Yes, this will be a smaller version of Arachne plus Sumi combo. Faye and Victoria. Both will give your Naomi multi-attack. We already know how multi-attack is really strong with Mitsuki, so the same principle applies here. The copies will get the previous copy multi-attacks and will keep stacking. Just that in this case, Naomi copies will also receive an extra attack buff thanks to Faye ability. And yeah, Victoria will get a lot of extra block for each Naomi copy summoned. Not that Naomi needs even more attack, but Orin will not only give a lot of extra attack to the already high attack Naomi's, but will help to finish off some units with their infection and stop some units to attack, reducing their attack to 1 if Orin has her ultimate on. Rose will also have a small synergy with Naomi. More units on the field means more attack for Rose, Naomi and her copies. Any source of HP boost will help your Naomi to give even more attack to your allies. Just be careful that river drones aren't alive or you will get a lot of recoil damage back. One of the best ones will be Belle and Morana, since they will provide a lot of utility to the field. Then, besides she being a counter to summoned minions, she can also buff them to a decent amount of attack if they are on your side. If they aren't peacekeepers, of course. So for example, Beck Bouncers or Arachnid Spiders will get a lot of attack thanks to Naomi's ultimate. Genie and her turret can also complement your combo if you're planning to play Beck or Mitsuki with Naomi, or even just by playing Naomi, cause the turret will not only give them extra attack, but will punish your opponent by a decent amount of damage if they dare to get rid of them. As for androids, Marion, Ruby and Audrey will be the best ones to play with Naomi in my opinion. You can also use Ajong, Chloe, Ramona and Milika, since they also have a strong synergy with her, same way as Mitsuki does. As for her relationship stats, she will receive 140 extra attack and 92 health at GM League, and a very nice outfit. Now the sad part, counters. Same as any range unit, Lola is the best counter against Naomi. Combine her with any source of extra damage, such as Gia first ability or Ravenna, poison damage, and you will get rid of them very easily. Bloom can also punish you for having too much allies on your field, so be careful. Nymeria with her poison and health siphon damage is especially good against swarms, and Naomi isn't the exception. Since her poison activates before her attack, the poison will still spread around. Combine her with another source of damage, especially poison, and she will eventually get rid of them. If you summon Casey before your opponent's Naomi, will also blind every copy your opponent could summon, and will also help you to reduce the attack buff spam by a bit. Orin with ultimate can also stop your Naomi and her copies from doing a high amount of damage thanks to her attack reduction. The twins Zoe and Chloe also benefit from many units on your field. She will not only reduce your attack, but will earn a lot of attack for her. Not a real threat to your Naomi copies, but can hit you very hard if you have an open lane. An enemy Sunmi can also benefit from so many syndicate units on your field. So same advice as for twins, be careful with your open lanes. Lorraine can also stop for a bit your Naomi and her copies. And if you are playing a stun comp, if you have Omega, you will also have extra health to give you more chances to survive the next attacks. Playing immune units or tanks will also stop your opponents to summon Naomi, since they will wait for an easy kill before summoning her. Morana and Kirsten, if your enemy has wounded allies on the field, will also help to become your units tank enough on summon to survive the Help Siphon damage from Naomi. Kirsten's high electrocute ability that gives to your allies can also help to reduce their HP. Of course, Inferna and Roxy's suppression ability can also stop Naomi copies to keep spawning. And if the match extends too much, Wanderlust ability can also deal a lot of brick hole damage back to you since you will have very high attack units on your field. Finally, we got a weird interaction with Kitty. If you eliminate Kitty with Naomi's Hull Typhoon ability, and a copy of her is being summoned by this same interaction, then both will get their attack reduced by Kitty's ability. Final thoughts. If I had to set Naomi in my tier list right now, she would be at the meta tier for sure. But in some special scenarios, especially if she has her outfit, where she can summon 3 copies of her clearing the entire enemy field, she becomes god tier. Cause there is actually no counter that can avoid losing in that turn if all the conditions met. Of course, Naomi can work in any squad, or just by having Kryza to combo with her, since she will give all the extra health Typhoon Naomi needs to become a monster. She can work without her ultimate pretty well. She will still have a decent attack and help you clear the board. But in the moment you unlock her outfit, she will become a real threat, giving so much attack to all your units besides peacekeepers of course. The opponent will not be able to ignore your line, where she is in place for too much, cause her attack is a real menace. So you will have many opportunities to keep spawning your copies for each kill she makes. If you have been playing with Mitsuki, you will get used with Naomi very fast, and you won't pass too much troubles even at lower leagues, cause the androids you already have will work on Naomi, same way as they did for Mitsuki. Before Naomi, the Health Typhoon comp was already strong, but she has put the cherry on the cake, making this comp a real threat, countering so many of the actual meta comps like the shield comp or resistant comp. I will for sure be playing this comp hopefully for a long time, until the meta change again. Sadly, I still don't have Numeria, Ivy or Amy leveled up enough, but I will aim for it. My suggestion is to go get her what you can and don't feel frustrated if at the first levels she doesn't feel that strong cause you don't have the outfit unlocked yet. Have patience, keep farming, and enjoy the process until you get it and start having fun with her insane skills. With all that said, let's have some matches! And that's it for today's video. Leave a like and subscribe. And leave a comment if you find another combo or counter for Naomi. See you next time. Bye!